Good morning to all participants. Within next 2 to 3 minutes, we will start the session. So please stay with us. Good morning and welcome to all. In the first session of now, we will commence the session which is on the topic of additive manufacturing for innovative biomedical device development, which will be delivered by Dr. H.S. Mali, sir. We welcome Dr. H.S. Mali in 5 days online FTP. Before starting the session, I would like to give a brief introduction about him. Dr. H.S. Mali is working as an associate professor at Malviya National Institute of Technology, Jaipur. Dr. Mali has an experience of 15 years in academics and 10 years in aviation industry. He holds a patent and applied for another 7 to his credit. He had multiple research grants from various national and international funding agencies as well as industry. He has set up an advanced manufacturing and mechatronics lab and founder of CAM Society. His major area of research are advanced manufacturing technologies, micromanufacturing, composite materials, ceramic materials, product development, including low-cost prosthetic, CAE, and CAP. We are grateful to have such a decorated personality between us. Now I request to Dr. H.S. Mali sir to start the session.
Yeah, am I audible, Professor?
Yes, sir.
Sandeep, yeah, thank you. Good morning. Good morning to everyone, to you in Surat and all across your participants, all across India. So, thanks for your invite. Let's see that we do justice to your participants. Now, before we quickly move on to share the screen and do testing and all sort of stuff, may I know how many participants are there, Sandeep ji?
36 participants are there.
36 are there right now. Okay, great. So now I think we can start. I'm sharing the screen. Could you see the screen, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. So thanks again. And I won't be able to see the mailbox. So I invite all your participants through you that you can ask them to write those questions in the chat box, because I'll be requesting you to do some kind of interaction with
sir.
your participants. So all kind of questions or wherever they feel like, we can stop in between and start interacting. All right.
Okay.
With that note, let's move on to this talk today morning. Thank you that we have this morning interaction. When teachers get time to have their class in the morning, it's always very good. So the idea is to talk about additive manufacturing, which is again in your advanced manufacturing course. Additive manufacturing for some kind of product development. So we thought that let's talk about some biomedical devices. We'll talk about the reasons why we selected this kind of devices with this advanced manufacturing technology called additive manufacturing. So before we move on, I intend to talk about in these terms. Say, for example, we can talk about first the medical devices. Then, of course, the additive manufacturing. We also know about the word is popularly known as 3D printing. So we may be using the word interchangeably. And of course, this evolution, all those fundamentals we'll talk about in first half. And then we'll talk about some sort of cases, particularly for advanced manufacturing or additive manufacturing. All right. So with this note, we will be moving forward. I'll put my pad so that I can do some kind of interaction through chat. Okay, here we are. So when I say medical devices, you must have heard that this comes under the part of product development. So anything, any tangible product we should be talking about today, and it can be done by this is Dr. Sandeep.
Yes, sir. Sir, your voice is interrupting. Sorry for the inconvenience. All participants are requested to bear with us. Actually, expert is facing difficulty due to network issue. So please bear with us.
Unmute. Okay. Am I audible? There seems to be a problem, Dr. Sandeep.
Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
In between,
think-
I don't know how it got muted, I think.
I think due to network issue, voice is not coming clear.
Possible, maybe. Anyway, now we'll change the network. In case it is not the audio is not coming, please do tell me. So we'll
Okay,
change the network or do some alternative arrangements. Okay. So
Okay.
here we are. We're trying to talk about this important domain called medical devices. Those products, whatever category you can identify, they can be classified under high risk devices, which are referred as surgical.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah.
Sir, please request to share your PPT.
Yeah.
It is not visible for us. So you have to reshare the PPT.
Oh, it is. Okay, it is not shared yet.
Yes, not shared.
All right. That means because of the network, this sharing has gone away. Now, please tell me, is it done now?
Yes, now it is visible. And if you don't
All
mind,
right.
please turn off your video so network will be not interrupt you.
That will be better, I think.
Okay.
So let's stop the video.
Yeah, sir.
All right. All set now?
All set, sir.
All right, very good. So just recollect that we are trying to talk in today morning, interact upon some kind of products. So those products are medical devices, one important thing. And second, we'll be trying to we'll be trying to be using this technology called additive manufacturing, right? Together, and I invite everyone to interact and ask questions, and we'll have more interactive sessions. So this particular slide, which I have taken from some references, is talking about those medical devices referred under category of maybe various categories. So we'll start with the high risk devices category. Say, for example, any device which is used in surgery, so surgical tools, implants, or even devices like P&O, prosthetics and orthotics. So orthotics devices will try to differentiate what are those. Anybody? Any of you is wearing an orthotic device right now? Is wearing even foot orthosis and so many support, band and wristband and wearing a specs, he is also related is a kind of orthotic devices he is using. So those people who are dealing in this domain will be referred as ortho. Or and if you are replacing some part of a body's limb, say for example, if you have somebody who has an amputated hand, in that case you will be using an artificial hand, that will be referred as prosthesis. Okay, so those are the two words of P&O. Okay, then second category is of course those therapeutic devices which are like all kind of wheelchairs, assistive devices, those machineries, including a device like monitor supply or oximeter, your blood pressure measurement instruments. So they all come under this category. Of course, they will be referred as class low risk equipment. When I say high risk equipment, they will be referred as class D. And those class D equipments are mostly used inside the body, maybe like implants or surgical tools. So what you see, those implants may be replacement of your or someone's elbow joint, maybe more probably knee joints these days, and of course issues with the ankles, hip replacement, pacemakers, they will all come under the category of class D equipment or high risk equipment. Okay, so how AM can be for that purpose is this is the question. How additive manufacturing or popularly known as 3D printing can be used for the purpose is going to be the talk now. All right, so shall we move forward? Sandeep ji?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So let us understand this, the world of manufacturing. You must have heard since it's a day 3 possibly, Sandeep ji, day 3.
Yeah, yes, sir. This is third day.
So now, okay, so now you heard lots of manufacturing, lots of advanced manufacturing also. So we'll try to understand the difference between the word called additive manufacturing, because this word has come in maybe 20 years back, but there is another word called 3D printing, which is more popular since 35 years with the advent of a company called Jet Corporation. They did lots of advertisement for this. But let us differentiate between the word additive and subtractive. So most of the advanced manufacturing processes or even basic metal manufacturing processes which mechanical engineers are taught, I'd ask the students to categorize them in at least 5. So if I ask them to divide my metal manufacturing processes, would anybody like to write in the chat which are those primary metal manufacturing processes? I want at least 5 of them, 5 prominent metal manufacturing processes. Did anybody respond anything? I know many of you are aware. So that we interact. No response? See, once again, because there is no point just moving in this direction solo, I want to take you along. So we want to classify those primary manufacturing processes, metal-based manufacturing processes. So would you like to help me to classify those? Anyone? Please do write in chat.
Yes, one is casting, foundry, two response are there.
Very good. So there may be not 5, but there may be hundreds of them, right? Somebody can say turning, somebody can say forming, forging, casting, this thing, that thing. There are so many. So thank you. Who is the gentleman who has written? Let me check if I...
Karthikeyan.
Thank you, Karthikeyan. Thanks for your input. So we like that kind of input. So it is more like when you see manufacturing processes, there are so many these days. Even welding are like 100 types of weldings, right? Castings are like 50 types of casting processes within subcategories. Even there are lots of machining processes. So I want my students to, it is more like a situation that you have lots of plants and trees. So how do we make our life simple when we study biology? So we do classification and categorization, right? So very similarly, if I have to do 5 primary manufacturing processes, then I ask my students to think like that, what Karthikeyan has done, and then they classify it. Say for category could be metal melting. So anything related to casting, whether it is metal or polymer, if you melt the material and pour into a kind of a structure we refer as mold, and then allow it to solidify, so you get a process called all sort of castings or molding. So we refer them as metal melting. Is it okay? The second category could be if you don't melt but simply heat and part of things are melted or sometimes pressurized or sometimes done together, so you call it as metal joining. Metal joining. So all welding, brazing, everything comes under metal joining. Am I right, Karthikeyan? This is my, say, second classification. So metal melting, metal joining. Third could be you don't heat the material, or sometimes you heat but never melt it, and then do lots of forces, maybe in the form of compressive, maybe in the form of tensile, maybe in the form of shear, or a combination like bending. So you call it metal forming. So all forming processes like extrusion, wire drawing, forging, everything will come under this. Am I right? So metal forming. So metal melting, metal joining, metal forming, 3 categories. What is the fourth one? Would you like to tell in this same sequence? Anybody? Karthikeyan and others? Anyone?
Sir, sir, can I speak, sir? Am I audible to you, sir?
Please go ahead.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go
these
ahead.
subtractive processes are going to be the 3 varieties, sir. One is called as addition, the other one is subtraction, and the other one is reduction.
No, sir. Wait, sir. Wait.
Sir.
I am in this domain. I
Ah,
am trying to classify all the categories of processes which metal melting I have done, metal joining I have done, metal forming I have done. Would you like to give it the fourth name? That's the question.
it is nothing but metal forming, sir.
Metal forming is done, sir. Metal joining is done.
Powder
Metal
metallurgy,
melting is done.
powder
Powder
compaction.
metallurgy, very good. Powder metallurgy could be the fourth metal based manufacturing process, PM. Let us see. What is the fifth one? What is the fifth one? See, just recollect all the manufacturing processes you know and try to list it here. I wanted only 5. 4 have come. Anything which comes under powder metallurgy. What is powder metallurgy? You take powder form, you take material in powder form, you do some kind of binder into it, then do compressive and heating below melting. So that is sintering, and you get your product done. So any complicated part can be done. Powder metallurgy has its own advantage because you get your customized properties also, unique properties also. So powder metal is again a primary manufacturing process, let's call it. You have some categories of processes called metal forming, whereby metal gets formed. So all forging se leke sare processes like wire drawing or sheet metal working, everything comes under metal forming. Metal joining, you know, all welding will come under metal joining. Metal melting, you know, it all kind of casting. So what is the fifth one, sir? Tell me, anyone? Either chat or unmute and say. Because there is no point ahead in some, we relate something to the primary thing. So anyone? Kartike? So let us call it. Anyone? Any process is left? Would you like to name any process? Whether it fits in the first four or not? Anybody? No? So where the turning fits in, where the milling fits in, where the grinding, what are those processes referred as?
Machining process.
As per this,
Sir, machining
anybody?
process, sir. Machining process. Metal cutting process. They are called as metal cutting process, sir. Hello? Sir, am I audible to you, sir? Metal cutting process.
And then remove the unwanted
Metal cutting process. They are called as metal cutting
unwanted
process.
material and get your product done.
They are called as metal cutting process.
Metal cutting process, let us not call them, let's call them only let us only refer as metal removal process, because you are removing the process, metal material. Sometimes you don't cut, sometimes you do some other thing. Say, for example, in EDM, you don't do cutting, but you definitely do removal, right?
Sir,
In
in
case of laser,
in wire
you don't
EDM,
do cutting.
Sir,
Sometimes you
excuse
do.
me, sir. Excuse me, sir. In the wire EDM, we are cutting the
Yeah.
parts. Then it comes under cutting only.
Okay. Okay, that is a process of, maybe you can call it some kind of parting off and all that, those kind of process. But you can't call, sometimes cutting, and say cutting we refer as conventional metal removal process, CON, and sometimes we call it non-traditional, non-conventional, maybe like EDM, maybe like plasma, laser, ultrasonics, where we don't call it definitely cutting, because you don't have the direct contact of the metal with the tool. So, but definitely we can call it metal removal. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
You are
sir.
removing the material. So
Yes.
I want this word better. I like the word metal removal. Metal removal can be further divided into two categories. Say conventional, non-conventional. Conventional means further two categories. You can have metal cutting, like turning, milling, brossing. You can have metal finishing, like grinding and all kind of things. Similarly, non-conventional, you can have direct use of energy. Here also you can have mechanical type, you can have, say, electrothermal type, like laser, plasma, electron beam. You can have chemical type. So that's why the word metal removal has come. Is it okay? So thank you for your input, because this is what is needed in any kind of class. Until unless some feedback comes, somebody is trying to tell that this is what is the way, then you try to justify things. So am I right up to now?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So that means all the material removal processes, world is very big, and those material removal processes can be referred as subtractive processes. This is nothing but A minus B. You carry out A minus B. That means you have some, whether it is grinding or laser or A minus B is your B. So you have all your subtractive processes, subtractive manufacturing. Am I right? Now say, how do you call something known as metal forming? What are metal forming? Are they A minus B or A plus B or A or zero processes? Metal forming. So you can, even people have divided that subtractive is, or the negative processes are, subtractive processes are your metal removal. Your metal forming processes nothing but zero processes. We neither add material nor remove material. So that could be a metal forming process, right? And similarly, is there a process whereby you add material? That will be additive manufacturing. Is it okay? So for this reaching to this word called additive manufacturing, I have done all this story for all of us. There may be some processes like clay molding and all those whereby you add material layer by layer, but of course we don't call metal melting as additive manufacturing processes because it's a altogether separate process. So if you have some mechanism by which you can add material layer by layer, it will be referred as additive manufacturing processes. So now that's the primary definition. But do you think, all of you, I think you know that it is coming under the category of advanced manufacturing processes, because there are lots of advancements happening in this, but it is not that advanced also because it is there for the many years. If you look at manufacturing processes or 3D printing processes or advanced manufacturing processes, this is as old as these money fundamentals. Because if you look at this 1770s or so, how things moved. And now along with this, you have all your, let me remove this. You have all your evolution of additive manufacturing also along with all those additive, this particular process. So these people sometimes refer as industry 4.0, today's world after 2020 or so, or 2010 or so. So some people refer it as, this is my industry. Oh, sorry, it's happening in this way. This is I 1.0, whereby you had some sort of mechanization. The first steam engine came and then mechanized production happened. So then in the before the World War, it was I 2.0, whereby the industrial automation happened in what way? The industrialization have moved into what? When electricity came, mainly for, and then of course 50s onwards when the IC came, I 3.0. And now everybody knows now we can say I 4.0 or something. This is what people refer it. Now, very similarly, if you look at this history of manufacturing technologies which have come up, you can also see how this 3D printing and AM has moved in. So now there are lots of evolution happening which is as old as 50 years. 50 years is not a small time. It is a long period. So these AM technologies are as old as 50 years. They have evolved with CAD/CAM technologies. That's what I'm trying to say. CAD/CAM technologies. Is it okay? So CAD/CAM CAE technologies were doing parallelly happening. You know, there are lots of CAD softwares. Very similarly, if you have a CAD model, you just do any kind of CAE on it. Say we'll do FEA or so, something, those words will be there. So now when you do FEA and all kind of work, this CAD work, this product is ready to be used. It is ready to be manufactured. So you have two options. Either you convert into ANSI tool and take it to subtractive manufacturing, or you go for any kind of additive manufacturing, which will be positive one. All right. So how it has moved? This is the journey. So there are a few words which have come in, like STL. We'll talk about it. There are few words which have come up. What was the 3D printer first used in 1996? Definition of printer was given. The word additive came in, and the breakthrough technology 2017, that Obama initiative for AM, which happened in early 2006. So those are the evolution of these additive manufacturing technologies. All right. So moving next, now we can talk about what are these AM technologies or 3D printing technologies. So why this AM is referred as 3D printing? Though when we see this 3D printing is one of the AM technology, but now in the recent academic discussions or the industrial discussions, this 3D printing has been widely taken as, even if you don't call it AM, though it is a one of the technology of the additive manufacturing, but people started referring nicely even academics in 3D printing also. Why? Because you can refer it as getting the third axis, the Z axis, other than your two axis. So you can refer it as X, Y, and Z is the one. If you can get your Z axis printed, you can refer it as 3D printing. So how do you do it? it can be done by lots of technologies, but there are lots of word associated with this. So if you are using additive word, you can call it additive manufacturing, additive layer manufacturing, or additive digital manufacturing. So these are lots of names which are associated with these technologies. Even if you are just talking about the layer, it could be layer based manufacturing, it could be layer oriented manufacturing, or layer manufacturing. So lots of words, because these are not developed by some kind of government or even academicians themselves. It is developed by vendors, different vendors. So but the first word like is the name given by the word rapid came in. So it is more like the earliest word which is used with these technologies. So rapid technology, rapid tooling, RT, and RPT. I think I need not to tell you the first product which is manufactured after design is referred as prototype. Say you see sometimes the prototype before the particular design is ready. So those words, if you can make it quickly, you can make it. You use that technology called RPT. So sometimes people also use the word digital. So digital means digital fabrication, digital mockup. These are the words used. If you use the word 3D, then 3D printing or 3D modeling can be used. If you use the word direct, it is direct manufacturing or direct tooling. So that's why we are trying to say that even most widely used word is 3D printing. So let it be 3D printing. But these are the different domains in which or different words which are associated with these technologies. Okay, now what is this impact on industry with respect to this AM is concerned? That impact we will try to understand. Okay, when I see AM, it could be understood through this particular design. Say there is a bracket here. This bracket is made out of aluminum. You see that it could be made out of cast. It could be made initially by casting and then by machining. Am I right? What is the best way to manufacture this kind of bracket conventionally? Say you can cast first the product and then do the kind of hole making, and the precision dimensioning can be done by machining. Am I right? Now this post conventional manufacturing, this has certain processes. I mean certain time taking processes, and design has evolved over a period of time. This may be the material 7075, or this may be the volume of the particular product. Okay, but now we have lots of CAE tools, and now we know that there are certain places where the material is simply used here. It may not be required. So if you do any kind of topology optimization, what you see, you identify that you need materials only places where it is needed. So if you can improve the design, you can reduce the weight can be reduced. Even if you change, say sometime material, if it is say you use it for aviation component, you don't mind replacing it by different material. So in this case, you have done some kind of optimization, and then based on this optimization, you can do your final design. So final design, which was costing say 330 grams, is now costing 191 grams only. Of course, you have changed the material, volume is also reduced. All right. So what it makes, that means earlier you were using volume of 12 millimeter cube. This is the volume of this particular material. Now it is reduced to 4 millimeter cube. That means low amount of material is being used. Okay, though it's the costly one, but it is still, the weight is also low. Now you have done this by your all optimization algorithms, but how to produce it? Can you produce it by a conventional method? Possibly no. So what you can do, you can make it by some kind of additive manufacturing process. So if you can do this, if you are interested to do for your product development this kind of work based on certain need, you use this technology, which is much more cost effective. There is minimum wastage, fast manufacturing, and the parts can be customized not only here, but they can be uniquely customized for places. So you can develop lots of agility in your product manufacturing. You can reduce the lead time, faster manufacturing. That means time to market is reduced, and it can revolutionize the particularly not the high volume manufacturing, but the low volume manufacturing, low volume parts, but complex parts. So that's why EDM is, I'm sorry, this AM is excellently suitable for, or 3D printing is suitable for. Okay, so this part will talk about the volumes in terms of why it is needed. Then we are trying to say, since we talk about the domain which is medical device, I think now you understand that, or you started thinking that this is perfectly suitable for, this technology is suitable for these devices, because most of the medical devices must be customized. Am I right? Because even if you look at person specific, if you can do the customization in terms of race specific, say for example, a person from Punjab or a person from Gorkha, their body structure is much different. Okay, so now in that case you will like to use always a product which is much more organic in terms of customization. Okay, so this industry is highly suitable for this AM technologies. That's why we are choosing this kind of topic today. Is it okay? So moving forward, let us understand the quick or the generic process of this AM or 3D printing. You may be aware, I am sure many of us are aware these days, that, so let us quickly move on. So these are the 8 steps. Say for example, one morning you are in some jungle or maybe in space, you want to have a cup of tea or coffee, or Gujarat mein jo bhi aapko meetha peena pasand hai. Now, can you got up at say 7 o'clock in the morning and you want to have a coffee maybe by 9:30. So can you make some kind of quick product? So this particular phenomena talks about it. So what you do, you should be having a CAD model. In case you can quickly do it, not a problem. CAD modeling is pretty fast. With the modern CAD tools, we'll talk about it. Then convert this CAD file to a kind of STL file conversion. Again, few clicks only, you can convert into STL file format. Now transfer this file to a machine. So this machine, that is nothing but a 3D printer. Okay, in this case, your machine or the additive manufacturing machine or the 3D printer or simply the printer, you know, it based on its controller, based on its volume, build volume and sizes and all sort of stuff. This has to do a G code based on the controllers stuffs. So the same thing we do in CNC also. So it will be converting, it will be setting up your printer. Again, few steps, and then the actual process starts. So this may be my pre-processing. Actual process is this, and then this thing will come as post-process. Say it is more like, say if some patient is getting surgery, so all those activities which are needed is pre-surgery or post-surgery, right? Very distinguished terms are there in medical term. Say all kind of PHF, pre-anesthesia checkup and all those things will go. Then during surgery, 2-3 hours. So this is the building is your surgery, number 5. Post this, you might have to remove the part. You may have to do some kind of post-processing, support system may be removed and then use it. So imagine a situation, you need a product and that product can be, you need to carry you don't have to carry the product, say you are traveling to space, and in place of carrying a huge inventory of parts for your vehicle or for your own living, you just carry some designs or get the designs transferred. You carry only some materials and raw materials and the machine, and you can get your manufacturing done there itself and use it, right? So that's the flexibility of this particular process, and that's the suitability of this particular process. So now there are people who are classifying it. Classification based on raw material. The raw material can be liquid based, solid based, or powder based. Okay, if it is liquid based, you can say there are X number of processes. Oh, there is a mistake here. This will come in solid waste only. FDM will come in solid waste only, right? So now, then there is another category is polymerization, which is mainly for liquid based. So what you do, you have some liquid, maybe monomers, monomers. So monomers will be polymerized with the use of some kind of maybe light also. So there are technologies, digital light or polyjet or STL, or let us see SL, selective laser sintering or stereolithography. Those will come under these categories. Okay, so we can talk about those solid waste. So this FDM will come in solid waste only. This will come in solid waste only. This is what, because you have and kind of extrusion. So we'll revisit in the next slide. But similarly, you can have powder. Powder can be melt together, and these are the processes. Or powder can be bind similar to powder metallurgy. So you can have 3D printing or a kind of a pro metal. Those different words are given. Okay, so raw material forms can be used for different classification. Moving next, you can also talk about whether it is used for plastics, metals, or ceramics. So AM for plastics. So bioplastics, thermoplastics, thermosets, composite materials, AM can be used. Okay, similarly, metals, stainless steel, titanium, aluminum alloy, or aluminum itself, or there could be some materials like ceramics. So if you look at the worldwide, this is a 2017 data. Photopolymers are extensively used, thermoplastics are next, and then of course metal powders are very less. Right now it is mostly AM, means mostly for polymers only. All right, moving next, let's see classification based on this word called rapid prototyping. So we can skip, I think mostly these are the terms, but I want you to take you to this recent classification. This is very important and this is very uh, authentic also, because this is as per ASTM. So please do understand that this is the recent classification, ASTM F2792 standard of ASTM, whereby all these technologies are divided into 7 families. What are those families? Those families can be divided into 2 categories as per me. First could be, if the material is only suitable for polymer, you can call some of the families. If it is only suitable for both polymer and metals, then you can call this. So I refer as MVM, BSPD. So what are those BSPD? What are those MVM? M stands for any of the, say this M or this M, material jetting or material extrusion. But I would like to tell always the material extrusion, because any of you who has seen, there are likely probability that you have seen an FDM, additive manufacturing machine, whereby there is a filament, it melts under some kind of heating element, and then it droplets into the surfaces and you get your product build. So this is out of patent FDM technology. This is also known as FFF, fused filament fabrication, or you get your done, but this is only for polymers. So one polymer is MVM. Second is wet photopolymerization. This category is again very important. This is what you have your monomer in a furnace or anywhere, in a tub or anywhere, mostly a vat. So vat means a tank. So you contain, in this tank, you contain the liquid monomer, then show some kind of light, that is digital light. I think you understand. Laser is one such digital light, because you can divide into a kind of quanta. Photons can be divided into defined quanta with the right kind of frequency, right kind of energy. So digital light. So if you use digital light, the process is known as DLP. Market is full of DLP manufacturing printers. Okay. So what you have in this tank, you have the monomer, then you show the light, and based on the light, the monomer, the polymerization takes place, and that is known as photopolymer. Photo means light. So this is MV, and third category is material jetting. In this case, what you do, you take a nozzle, and through that nozzle, you send the material in a heated material in a liquid form, and you have multiple jets, so that you can build your part. So that is material jetting. Material is jetted upon. So most of the technologies, if you see any additive manufacturing technology, you try to relate it to where it fits in. It fits, जैसे हमने किया था ना 5. We have done 5 categories of primary manufacturing processes. If you recollect in the beginning, there is a purpose for this. What was that? Material melting, material forming, material joining, or since it is mostly for metal, so we call it metal also, but material can be the right word. Material removal, and finally material or powder metallurgy. So those primary manufacturing only have moved into this additive manufacturing process, or now onwards we'll be calling it as AM. So AM, PM दो जोड़ देना है आपको, PM, AM, and this will be now 6 manufacturing processes families have come, and within this AM you see this. All right, this AM ASTM standard. So this is your MVM only for polymers. Now there are other categories, other technologies which are more advanced, and I refer them as BSPD. So B stands for binder jetting. So binder jetting is one category. It is more close to like sheet metal working process, whereby you have either polymer or metal sheets which are pre-impregnated, and then you bind them. So the binders are jetted together, and that could be your 3D printing, or maybe there are voxel jet technology. These are all technologies within this. Polyjet is developed by one vendor, DLP is developed by another vendor, FDM is developed by another vendor. So likewise, 3D printing, as I told, is developed by Jet Corporation. So binder jetting, you have your powder, you have your, I'm sorry, one is metal sheet bol diya. Sheet is for this sheet lamination. So you have your powder, you take powder nozzle, you take the glue nozzle, that is your binder, and now spray powder glue, and get your product done. So that is your binder jetting. BS. S stands for sheet lamination. In this case, you take a sheet, and then it is pre-impregnated, and then you allow it to join together, and that is say laminated LOM. Laminated object manufacturing is your LOM. Can be one of the technologies of sheet lamination. Okay, so that is both for metals and polymers. So BS. P stands for powder bed fusion. This is again very important. You anyhow convert your material, whether it is a metal or polymer, into a powder. So it can be done once you have that powder. You can use laser or any other beam technology, any beam source, even plasma or electron beam, and then you fuse it selectively so you can get your product. So this is again an important and modern day technology for metal based manufacturing. Now within the metal, because nobody likes to, because powder we have, polymer we have lots of options, but metal, these technologies are evolving in a big way. Powder bed fusion. Very similarly, the last BSPD, D stands for direct energy deposition. So here also you can use the energy in the direct form, and you can use the raw material either in the form of a powder and melt the energy like welding what we do. So lots of welding know-how goes here also, whether it is a powder, polymer powder, or metal powder, or it can be a bulk like any kind of rod or filament that may be here. So they can be melted and deposited droplet by droplet or globule by globule, right? So these are all, this is a wonderful way of classifying, and this is an ASTM classification which has come very recently. Okay, moving next. So before we move on, let us see if we have any question, because we will be going in detail about one by one. So if we have any question, we can take that question and move forward. Sandeep ji.
Dear participant, you are able to unmute yourself. If you have any question, please ask.
So any quick question about classification of AM, their utility, even classification of primary manufacturing processes, conventional manufacturing processes, and then we move on to them in detail, and then we can talk about some case studies, particularly for biomedical device development, what we have done here. Okay. In case no question, so I am moving fast now. This is the material extrusion FDM technology. These are the products which are there. You will find this in uh, abundance. Literature is available. I thought I must focus on the classification. That's a recent thing. So FDM or FFF, that is one material extrusion. Okay. Then next comes MVM. V is the wet photopolymerization. So you have a wet and you have the monomer material here, photopolymer here, and then you show light to it, a source through laser source, and you have this CNC arrangement so that you can do SLA or stereolithography products, or SL. SL or SLA, they are used interchangeably. So this kind of unique products can be made by this process. Of course, all are polymers, mind it. Then third one is, say, material jetting. This is the where technology where the 3D printing name has come. So you have these resins, you have these glues, powders, and then they come like your inkjet printer. So they are droplets are dropped here on the product based on the instruction from the CAD model, and then you get your product. So any kind of colorful design or any kind of scaffold you can be used for this kind of uh, this material jetting process can be used. Within this, the most see what you see oblique is the most prominent technology. So FDM is a prominent technology I'm trying to say under material extrusion. SLA is the prominent technology under wet photopolymerization. Polyjet is the prominent technology under material jetting. Similarly, binder jetting. If you talk about binder jetting, it is a 3D printing which is most prominent technology, which is again you have a binder, glue and binder, which is material which is the glue or binder and is added with the powder form, and then you can build your part. Initially, the part may be if you are not heating, it may be green like powder metallurgy. Then you may have to sinter it. Otherwise, it can be done simultaneously. Okay. If it is a light source, it is done simultaneously. Okay. So now you get your unique products like this. Okay. That is your BSPD. So this is coming under both for metal as well as polymers. Then LOM, as I told, you have your sheet metal, and that sheet material is bonded together. So sheet lamination or LOM is the prominent technology you use. Okay. Then comes BSPD, P again. P is the powder bed fusion, and within this, the most prominent technology is your SLS. And within the SLS, there are huge applications you will find mainly for metal based in categories like lots of materials like metal alloys, composites, ceramics, stainless steel, titanium, aluminum. Their products can be made. So all your modern day implants, complicated implants can be made, or some aviation components. Of course, heat source are maybe laser based, maybe electron beam based. Okay, and maybe in future some other source will come. So those are your powder bed fusion. Last one is direct energy deposition, or the most prominent technology under this is LENS, LENS. Okay, so this is also suitable for, you know, not only making good new parts, but even building parts, even cannibalizing parts, or even repairing the parts. Say, for example, you have this turbine blade. This has worn out after a period of some time. So I remember in HL, what we'll do, if you have a helicopter shaft, so this shaft will wear out. So what we'll do, of course, turbine blade was very complex for all of us some 30 years back. So what we'll do some kind of deposition by welding, and then we'll do hard grinding on the surface, and then the shaft is used again. But now we can do for this kind of complicated designs also, products also, like, and that repairing can be done by DED. So I hope you understood this important point. The repairing of the turbine blades can be done by AM. All right. So that was your these technologies we have gone in depth. Now moving next, if you have to look for these softwares, because these are all again very important part. Everything starts with software. So CAD modeling softwares, I need not to mention, most of you know, but since I saw that there may be lots of diploma faculty members, so I organize this particular slide. What says these are the proprietary softwares of CAD. Say starting from the top of it is the CATIA, like that's from Dassault System, Creo from PTC, Fusion, Inventor, SolidWorks. Similarly, there are some free of cost, or the open source software like FreeCAD, Tinkercad, OpenSCAD, they're all pretty good and being used extensively these days by young students. Okay, in Autodesk there is something known as Mesh Mixer. This is again very important. So that is particularly for intermediately or some kind of FEM. Whenever you like to go for mesh mixing. Then next comes slicing software, because you must have seen first you have to do CAD model, then you do of course CAE and all those things you carry out, you do all kind of optimization. That is your part of CAD only as far as we are concerned right now. Once you've done that, then you do the slicing. The next part is slicing. So these are all the paid or the freemium. This premium word I got from a student some 2-3 years back. Initially they are free, or maybe the student versions are free, then they ask you some money. So these are long list of these softwares. Similarly, open source softwares. So we worked on Cura, we worked on KISS Slicer in our lab. So these are all some images which I'm trying to show you, that these are the slicing software. So slicing comes where? Slicing comes here. When you have, this is the stage of slicing. So STL is the slicing file. Okay. So through this you can slice. And then once you're done the slicing, you take it to the computer, to the printer, and then you do the machine setup so that you can convert your STL file into a G-code file. That is your tool path files. Okay. So that was your first two types of software which we talked about. Then comes important part. Even if you don't want to, or particularly suitable when we have some kind of organic surfaces or some kind of products which are cannot be started from scratch. So you can do scan these days. You can scan a part and then scan that part using a scanner. So these are the scanner based software. Some of them are mobile based, some of them, because these days you have wonderful camera based phones also. So they can be used by these tools also with the phone also. Or there are some designated scanners which can be used. So you can use scanner and camera, light based, and then you use the software for converting these scanner based images to a useful CAD model. So that is one step. Once you've done that, of course, you will be interested in this particular domain, and that is your 3D printing companies for making 3D printing devices. So of course, they also make parallelly the softwares also, but these are all the world's top 3D printing manufacturing list has been done. It may not be complete, but these are other one, like Stresys, 3D Systems, HP, Formlabs. Some of them are low cost, some of them are like Markforged, high end again. Okay, similarly, there are lots of Indian companies, particularly manufacturing for low-end auto-patent technologies like FDM. Okay, so these are all the list of printer manufacturing. Scanner manufacturing, again, these are the different scanners. Say Peel 3D is the one which we have worked in sometimes. We have also worked in IronScan. So these are all the popular 3D hardware. So there are only two hardwares here. One is your computer, of course, for the software. Second is the printer, and third is the scanner. And you can do the complete life cycle of that particular product. So once you've done that, we can talk about some cases in biomedical devices, particularly for prosthetics and orthotics. So here again, we pause for a second. If you have any question, please let me know. Dr. Patil?
No, sir. No any question.
Very good. So let's
Sir,
move
in
forward.
the CAD, we have to convert it into 3D modeling, sir, or
Come again, ma'am.
if you do the CAD, designing in the CAD, we have to convert it into 3D modeling, and then we have to go for the manufacturing, sir.
Yeah. So CAD means making. So you are saying you want to see the scanning part, or CAD means 3D model only? Computer design means we are talking about the 3D design.
Okay, sir.
Gone are the days when I say, for example, when we worked in AutoCAD R13, maybe in 95 or so. So they were doing all 2D CAD. So that were the CAD we were saying. But now that was more like
Yes, sir.
drafting. CAD, that CAD stands for computer aided drafting. Sorry. So now, so let us, this word again is, it needs some kind of clarity. So let me go back, and then it's troubling me. Okay. So here again, so madam, just I because those particularly from the old school of thought like me. So earlier we were saying, say, if I learned AutoCAD, ACAD before the Windows version came, release 13, and then of course Windows version came. So that time we did CAD means all 2D only. We have x-axis, y-axis, and we'll do all kind of sketching on it and make the drawing. That means nothing but a mechanization of the drafting process. So that time the CAD was more like computer drafting. Now then in between came CADD, design and drafting. So that means you do any kind of conceptual drawing. Before you go for this manufacturing drawing, you can do some kind of building sketches and all, again in 2D only. But maybe after the PTC parametric technology came up with this, then the SO tool came up with CATIA, and of course Fusion, and all these modern tools are 3D tools. So you make your design first, and if you need a draft, you just convert some views and get your drafting done very quickly. So that is design interchangeably nowadays means CAD means 3D design only. Am I right? I hope I read your mind and try to explain to you.
Yes, sir.
So these days, making 3D is pretty simple, and even you use a scanner, you get a 3D model only. You can improve, we'll talk about it. You can improve that 3D model by some software, and then end of it, if you want to make the 2D sketches, you want certain good for manufacturing drawings, you can go for 2D drafting out of your 3D model with a few clicks only. All right. Chale aage. So here we are. If there is no more question, so it's good that you interact, because there is absolutely no point I talk anything hypothetical without understanding that it is relevant to all of us or not. Okay, so here we are. I would like to tell you about a small story, and this story is of say Jaipur food. So this comes under the category of, will it come under the category of orthosis or a prosthesis? Anyone? If you have heard this product called Jaipur food, it's a food which will be used by those who have their leg amputated, जिसका पांव अनफॉर्चुनेटली कट जाता है किसी वजह से, एक्सीडेंट, डायबिटीज, जो भी कारण हो. So if they need some kind of artificial limb, the Jaipur food is one solution. Now please do tell me, it is coming under prosthesis or orthosis? Any answer? Shall I tick the P or O? O or P?
P, sir.
P. So one O, one P. Let us once again make it clear that this is P, prosthesis. Prosthesis means those devices of medical category which will replace your lost limbs. Prosthesis. This is a prosthesis. Orthosis is like your specs, right? Like the polio caliper, like the band, wristband, then shoulder, neck band, and all those. They are all nothing but ankle foot orthosis. They are all orthosis. So orthosis are supporting devices, whereas prosthesis are replacing limbs. Is it okay? So Jaipur foot is a prosthesis. Okay. So please do understand, it was not today, some 70 years back. India's condition was just got independent, then 50s, 60s. We had lots of accidents in the region here in the Rajasthan, Punjab region, because Western UP, because of this automation and harvesting and the farm machineries, there were lots of accidents. And then wars were happening. So people were losing their limbs. So there are two possibilities: either somebody loses the hand or the leg. So hand losing is still relatively, it's not that good, but moment somebody's limb is lost, leg is lost, you can imagine that he or she will be a kind of a fully disabled, right? Right, like we call these days we call Divyang. All right. The case here is this was a phenomena, and the artificial legs which were coming were not at all affordable by Indians because of their financial conditions. Number one. Number two, those were not made in India. They were mostly imported, and they were fit for, say, for example, for European or American lifestyle. So one such foot was, though low cost, still very costly, called solid ankle cushion heel. So this was developed by a European scientist. He called it Sach foot. This was again costly, but it is only suitable if you are sitting all the time on chair and walking. That's all. But Indians like to sit cross-legged in our kitchens, in our the praying places. So Dr. Sethi, P.K. Sethi, a orthopedic surgeon in SMS Hospital, Jaipur, he came up with an idea. He modified the Sach foot into a different category. We'll talk about that modification in design. It's a wonderful design. And then developed this foot called Jaipur foot, using the locally available artisans' help, their skills, and of course low cost materials which are locally available. So that is Jaipur foot. If we go anywhere in the world, and if you talk to anybody who is little sensitive towards technology and product development, moment you say I'm from Jaipur, they'll say, oh, Jaipur foot, right? That is such a demand it is. It is available in more than 100 countries. Even Time has given its, Time magazine has given its full coverage, and this was held by United Nations that this is one of the disruptive product ever manufactured, top 10 disruptive products in say 20th century. People like Sudha Chandan, who is a dancer and amputee, she wore this and started dancing again. So that is what is the beauty of this foot, Jaipur foot. Okay. So the problem is we have the Jaipur foot, but we need to understand what are the kind of materials it has. So just look at, I am trying to give you some kind of Jaipur foot's idea that it has 5-6 elements. One is it will have a wooden blank. So we call it ankle block. Then there are metallic bolts. Then there are heel blocks. Then there are front foot, then toes, and then of course this tire cord, which is wrapped around this hull. And finally, you put a skin colored rubber. So this was the design made by Dr. Sethi. And this is what a foot will look like. But this is a 60-year-old story. It has lots of praises have come in. But the problem here is those materials like MCR, microcellular rubber. MCR is no more available locally. Why? Because of course it is not a material which is not available, but it is not abundantly available. And because of this, what happens? You get this cost has increased, because most of the footwears, 30 years pehle, 50 years pehle, people were using all these MCR chappals, rubber ki chappal use karte the. Now we started, all our footwears are made out of either EVA or they are made out of, anybody? Polyurethane, PU. जूते का चप्पल का सोल अभी किसका होता है? Polyurethane. Even PVC का भी होता है, but PVC makes lots of noise. When somebody walks and makes खड़क खड़क खड़ा आवाज, that means he or she is using a PVC sole footwear. So PU, EVA, these are the materials. The chappal materials are mostly EVA, but EVA is not suitable for this. MCR is suitable for this. So now the important part is, can we do something again with the same design and come out with contemporary technologies, contemporary materials first, and then contemporary technologies of manufacturing, so that these processes can be improved and its failure rate can be reduced. So we have done lots of failure studies, but we'll not go in that. And you can go through the papers we have published. I can send it through your organizers. So if you look at the past technology, the design were there, and then you use these contemporary design manufacturing processes to manufacture it. Now the whole idea is, can we do it, use some contemporary technologies? So this is the artisan mode of Jaipur food. Then so we tried attempting this CAD, making a CAD model, what you saw here, and then CAD CAE, carry out some kind of engineering. And then of course, as you saw, the material properties, they were identified, and these material properties were fed into the model, and the CAE was done. And of course, then we also identified some kind of equivalent material. Say, if you look at a material which is 3D printable, so that we can do AM of it. And of course, prototype was made, and then clinical trials and testing was carried out. So could you understand this particular cycle? So this was an artisan mode. It was more like a, जैसे cobbler बनाता है, जूते बनाता है, मोची बनाता है. It was in that mode. If you just look at any of the, just Google it up, how Jaipur food is manufactured. People will sit in a small room, and then they do some cutting by hand, and then they fit in, and then they wrap around the material, and then put in a furnace for kind of curing. So this way this Jaipur food is manufactured. So can we use this technology for manufacturing these processes? Okay. So when I look at this, first the CAD model, individual parts are shown here. Then of course, this is the combined food shown. And then if you do carry out CAE, that means even if you just simply try to do static analysis on it, what is the kind of deflection which is coming, what is the kind of compression which is coming, what is the kind of displacement for each point is coming, that can be done under the category of CAE. So you understand this meaning, CAE? CAE stands for computer aided engineering. So for CAE and CAD, I don't need anything like any machine. I only need a computer and a software. Is it okay? So this part is done, but of course, for doing CAE, you have to convert this CAD model into a mesh model. So there are lots of softwares for this. You must have heard there are science behind it. That science is known as finite element modeling. You convert your model into a small finite elements or small building blocks. Okay. So based on these building blocks, you just see there are small building blocks, and then based on the building blocks, when you apply some kind of load, they interface with each other, they behave with each other, and they try to tell you whether the load is there more. So more the red, more the load. I think you understood. So that is known as computer aided engineering, computer design you heard, now computer engineering. Then of course, you have to apply the material first. If you don't have the material data, say you make everything out of wood, or you say make it out of thermocol, so everything will rupture. How much load it can take? You make it out of steel, then any amount of load can be bound with it. So what we have done, we have used these different materials with different parts with different materials. Say for example, this is high density microcellular rubber, this is low density microcellular rubber. So accordingly, where the flexibility is needed, that's the uniqueness of this particular product. Okay. So when I talk about this, you look at this, these are all cut sections you are seeing here, but this is a 3D printed model which is non-functional, because the material here is fully one material, that is ABS, a polymer which is 3D printable by FDM. Okay. But we could see the shape is given as that of 3D printing. So what is being used here? Additive manufacturing for your prosthetic remanufacturing. Okay. So what you see here, once you have this, ABS is not a functional product. So we thought that let's move on to a more functional product. So we went for a material called TPU, thermoplastic polyurethane. So it was tested in UTM, and its properties were ascertained. It was compared, what is the compressive strength, what is the load it can bear, and then these properties were fed in. But important part in AM is you can go for fill percentage. You don't have to go 100% fill percentage. So if you just go for say TPU 40 means 40% fill percent, 100 means 100% fill percentage. So based on this, you can match your properties. So if you look at MCR, its compressive strength is modulus is say 2.17, and TPU's compressive modulus is say 4.3. So it is closest. So 40% fill percent we found it appropriate. Similarly, the flexibility, the load carrying capacity was also okay for this. And of course, soil hardness or hardness properties are also close. So based on this, the foot was again printed and it was tested for its few of the activities which are needed for actual foot. So this is a dorsiflexion, plantar flexion motion. पाँव को ऊपर नीचे करना है. So if you have to test it, you can test it. This is done in a hospital in Jaipur itself called Santokh Durlabji Hospital. Okay. So this is as per ISO standard the testings are done. So this is a additively manufactured Jaipur foot with 40% infill, and this is the actual Jaipur foot which has been cross-sectioned and right now being used by the whole world, rather, because it's available in more than 100 countries. Now, of course, lots of other testings are pending. I'm looking for more students to work on it so that they can carry out further research, particularly the fatigue aspects and of course the clinical trials. So we stop here and then also quickly I invite you guys for any kind of questioning. If there is no question, then we can very quickly move on to the other part. That was prosthesis. Now let us see the orthosis. Orthosis is an externally applied device. Externally applied device, say for example, if you look at human, if it is an applied here on an ankle, it is known as ankle foot orthosis. If you apply it somewhere on the neck base orthosis. Okay. If it is, say, if it is for this spinal cord, you call it TLSO. Spinal cord का biological नाम ये है. So based on this, you can classify your AFOs. So AFO is like ankle foot orthosis, but please do understand this bipedalism of walking is very important activity. In India itself, we have 5.4 million. That means 54 lakhs लोग ऐसे हैं जो कोई movement से suffer कर रहे हैं. So that means we need this kind of assistive devices in a lot more category. So next is, if these are all walking, and walking is referred as GAIT, gait. So understanding walking, you will have to just Google the word called gait, GAIT. Gait means चाल. जैसे चाल होता है, जैसे पुराने जमाने में people were there. Say if I recollect my grandma, she was in 80 plus and she won't be able to identify the faces, but she will definitely see the चाल of the person and identify ये तो वो जा रहा है या वो आ रहा है. That means we all have unique gait, but there are certain gaits which are acceptable. But if somebody is having some amputation or somebody is having some more problem like neurological problems or some kind of accident-based problem, if you just recollect the movie called Surma, where the hockey players are rehabilitated because we are all now hockey. For the past 10 days or so, पूरा देश hockey में हो गया है. So if you just see the movie Surma, where the hockey player was rehabilitated, his gait was improved and all those things. So that is mean gait, cycle or walking pattern. So these orthoses, they improve your walking pattern and all this. Say one condition is drop foot. This is a very common condition whereby people are not able to walk properly because their either heel should strike, but this portion gets strikes on this will get strike first, and this is known as drop. The foot gets dropped, so it is drop foot. Dorsiflexed condition हो जाएगा. I am sorry, plantar flexion condition हो जाएगा, not this. So you should be having this motion, and they, because of the muscle weakness or something, they have this condition known as drop foot. So if you have a condition, or if somebody has a condition like drop foot, the device which is helping is an orthosis, and this is known as, since it is for ankle, it is known as ankle foot orthosis. So how this ankle foot orthosis is made? This is the mechanism. So when the patient comes, you will have to just move on to, from moving the patient to then take a negative of it, make this POP, negative. So just उसको wrap करेंगे कपड़े से, then make this kind of plaster mold. Then inside you make a mold like this, like foot equivalent, and then wrap around this polymer sheet and then cut the sheet and get your A4 done. Could you understand this is conventional manufacturing of A4? It is a very, very tedious process and time-taking process. If the patient comes to the doctor, he or she has to come multiple times and will take weeks time to get your A4 done. So what is the idea? Can we use a contemporary technology, CAD-CAE technology to develop the A4 quickly? Idea is very simple. I'll go to the direct sketch, last sketch, and that is here. Say for example, this is my disease foot. This is the disease foot. Okay, the disease foot is here. Okay, this is an equivalent of disease foot. So you scan this. So when you scan, you get a model like this. Now this model will have lots of impurities, it will have inconsistencies, it will have some holes. So what you do, you take it into a new software and do the post-processing. And post-processing, you can extend it and all those things. So you can have a foot CAD model of the foot. Please do understand, if you make it by directly not by scanning, it will be very difficult because the surface is organic. You don't have clear lines or squares and rectangle kind. So once you have this, you can carve out this kind of A4 using your CAD model itself. So you just put some thickness and a material and make your A4. But this may not be suitable because its thickness is constant. So then you can take it to CAE. What you do, you apply some load and then you will see that wherever there is a unwanted material, that can be removed in your computer itself. So you did the scanning and the rest is everything is computer here. Then once you have your CAD model, convert into the slicing and the G-code file and print it and get your FDM printed A4. So that is again use of additive manufacturing in this A4 manufacturing, and mind it, it requires in a huge number. So we now only have 5 minutes and I think we covered it quickly. So one case in prosthesis, another case in orthosis, whereby additive manufacturing, not only additive manufacturing, of course, CAD, CAM, CAE technology, and also the scanning technology together have been used for not only prosthesis, but orthosis development. Okay, so with this, we close and I have 5 minutes time. So first we'll go for any kind of questioning, then we can quickly go for if you have any, if there is no question, I'll quickly introduce my lab to you, all your participants. Okay, so any question please, Dr. Patil?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Anybody want to ask the question? We have given rights to unmute themselves. So you can ask question directly to sir.
Okay, seems so.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
is it used in the surgery process? The manufacturing process, it is used in surgical process also, na, sir? Surgical time. But it is inbuilt to the human body or
So let me also try to read your question. You are saying, can we use additive manufacturing based products in surgery also, right?
Yes, sir.
See, these prosthesis and orthosis, these two are not surgical devices. They, if you recollect my initial slides, they talk about the categories. So that's the reason I took it the first slide. So that means it is a low risk class of materials. Orthos, I mean these devices, these therapeutic devices, assistive devices, and P&O. So these come under B and C, class B. Class C and D are those devices which are highly used in surgery inside our body, say like implants, stents. So they are also made they can be being used extensively manufactured by additive manufacturing. metal-based additive manufacturing, ceramic-based additive manufacturing. But what I try to show you here is this prosthesis and orthosis. So I thought this is a new domain. Many people do not know that this, how many, how much is the problem in the people. Number one, you will just recollect that in your family, someone will be having some walking disorder, the foot may be dropping, or some amputee, unfortunately, we'll see only in distant places only nowadays, luckily. Otherwise, there were so many amputees. I remember in my village also, there were 2-3 amputees. किसी का हाथ कटा है, किसी का पाँव कटा है, कोई न कोई कारण से, खास करके मशीनों की वजह से. So that was the reason. But we have taken only this class B or class A kind of materials, which will be coming under P and O. All right, ma'am. So these products are, yes, they are made, and particularly if you have seen these DED processes, these processes, they are all, SLS is extensively used for making implants for human body. That's why I covered, though it's not my case study. Is it
Sir,
okay?
how to?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, sir. There is one more question in chat box from Guru Sharan Singh. Wear
Please.
and tear for running life of the product.
Please come again. I couldn't follow you, sir. Wear and tear.
Wear and tear means running life कितनी रहेगी ये जो अपने तैयार करेंगे ये मोल्ड से तो उसका.
For this kind of product,
Yes, sir.
for implants and all.
No, sir, prosthetic products.
Prosthetic products, prosthetic and orthosis, wear and tear is like, see, I have some experience in, see, as far as this prosthetics and orthotics is concerned, let's talk about these two words. See, what is important part for both prosthetics and orthotics? As far as, let's take the word prosthetics. So prosthetics is, what do you say? Say, either artificial limb, palm ho, either your leg, if someone's leg, or someone's hand. So if you are talking about the wear and tear of it, wear and tear of the Jaipur foot, yes, it has, we have done some study and I can send papers to you. It has lots of failure because of certain, not wear and tear, but certain other reasons. Jaipur foot is made wonderful by Dr. Sethi, by you having very innovative thought process that it will be wrapped around first by the tire cord and then by this skin color rubber, which will look like a human skin. So that is, the wear and tear was very low. But now the manufacturing is not done in a very standard way. Materials used are not in the rightly available, and people are making any kind of material. It's not a patented product, so wear and tear was very high. That is the reason we all should strive to improve this particular product so that this can be, it can remain great. It can remain greatest invention throughout the 21st century also. That is one question. Second part, for say, if you look at the orthosis again, wear and tear for orthosis is what? Orthosis difficulty is, it is made out of polymer, not a problem. So the difficulty here is the customization, number one, and the time to manufacture. Now, because of this time to manufacture and customization is the real problem. So what we do, if we can sort these problems, wear and tear is not a problem as far as this AFO is concerned, because there are X number of materials, even polymeric materials, they won't wear. As I told, the material like TPU and all, whereby we have this footwear material, so they works for years. Okay, so is it okay? Understood?
Yes, sir.
So these additive manufacturing are recyclable, sir? The product.
No, recycling is one part. See, it is a big umbrella. Please do understand, additive manufacturing, as I told you, 7 families and kitni technologies hai isme, where it is being used. So there are, if you have some kind of, say, FDM, let us see FDM, fused deposition modeling. FDM requires you what? It requires you a filament. So the filament is generally made out of ABS or PLA. Now, if you are some issues with if you want to make some low cost part, you can make recycle ABS, not a problem. but it is not that you can't sweep it by the same brush कि ये मैं सारा को recyclable use करूँ material. That is altogether different domain. All right.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any more question?
So there is a question in chat box by Mr. Kamal.
Please little louder.
So there is a question from Mr. Kamal Basha.
Yeah.
He want to ask how to ensure the alloy power uniformity during additive manufacturing.
How to ensure?
Alloy powder uniformity.
Yes, that's a very good question. So alloy powder uniformity is always a challenge. So we have learned lots of disbursement and rule of mixture technology theorems and all that from powder metallurgy. So you will have to learn all those basic things that you always learn, that whatever you learn in powder metallurgy, that is ensured here also. So it is not that you do it from zero. It is whatever the powder. That's why I started with not negating the conventional manufacturing processes. That was the beginning. So if you are having very good powder metallurgy knowledge, you are the right person to move to technologies like powder-based additive manufacturing technologies. If you are a person who are very good welding in laser welding and all those, you are the right person to move into DED. So those issues will be there always. Oxidation of powder, powder handling, powder non-uniformity, they will be there. So you have to have systems for that. You have to have vacuum, or we have to have kind of vibratory tools around your systems to ensure the uniformity. It's a good question, and I think I try to answer it. So those who work in powder metallurgy based additive manufacturing processes, powder based, so they are the masters in this domain. I haven't worked much. Anything else?
If anybody wants to ask the question, they can ask.
Okay.
We will wind up the session.
So very quickly, if you have any question, okay, I can quickly tell you about my laboratory. So it has some CNC retrofitted systems. We call it Advanced Manufacturing and Mechatronics Lab. That means the students of mechanical production, MTech and PhD scholars, they themselves are involved in building up and retrofitting these machines in terms of controllers and all. So these machines are in the category. Of course, we have some micro machines which are state of the art. Of course, there are another technologies called finishing one, abrasive flow finishing, some characterization tools, some softwares, data acquisition softwares, CAD tools, CAE tools, of course, material modeling tools, and some projects which are maybe from DRDO for developing composite materials, both by additive manufacturing and non-additive manufacturing, conventional manufacturing processes, the currently available project. Then there are other DBT projects for developing products. Some other time we can talk about it. This is the DHT project for many size product manufacturing. These are the students who work in UG, PG, PhD students whose work I have shown to you, and some references are there. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful session. And I hope the content of the session will help the participants in the research and study works. So on behalf of Thap Diploma Engineering College, Sandeep Patil, thanks to Dr. H.S. Mali, sir. Thank you very much.
Feedback link is posted in the chat box, so you can fill the feedback. And now we are ending the session here. Please join for the second session before 5 minutes.
So thank you and namaskar. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.